Emma, do you one day dream of being a Grand Slam champion?
Yeah, I know it's really hard work, but hopefully it will happen one day.
The remarkable Emma Raducanu. You might never see this again.
Lydia Jacoby, the 17-year-old from Alaska, is going to win gold for the United States.
Oksana Masters, what an inspiring athlete.
She certainly put an exclamation point on that.
Winning the gold medal with an ace. Can you imagine how this team feels?
#1 ranking, her first major, and now the gold medal. 2021, Nellie's year.
On another error, this 21-year-old knocks out one of the biggest names at the Olympics.
I honestly don't know when I'm gonna play my next tennis match, but I think I'm gonna take a break from playing for a while.
I feel for Naomi. I wish I could give her a hug because I know what it's like.
Simone Biles has withdrawn from the final individual all-around competition at the Tokyo Olympic Games in order to focus on her mental health.
I've just never felt like this going into a competition before, so I just need to let the girls do it and focus on myself.
I applaud you, Simone. You made the right decision.
At long last, the Philippines, with its first ever Olympic gold medal in any sport.
Oksana Chusovitina, 46 years of age.
What an icon.
This is likely the final touch of the baton at the Olympic Games for Allison Felix.
And it's saved!
Katie Ledecky is going to win the gold medal.
An historic career, third straight Olympic gold in the women's 800 free.
Maggie Steffens, the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of women's water polo at the Olympics.
Susanna Scaroni's the champ and new Paralympic record.
Gold medal for Jordan Larson.
There's not a Paralympic swimmer who doesn't think about what if I race Jessica Long.
It's Suni Lee, who's in the top spot. She is the Olympic champion.
I know it's really hard work, but hopefully it will happen one day.
Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Women's Sports Foundation's annual Salute to Women in Sports, brought to you by Yahoo Sports. I'm Jessica Mendoza and I'll be your host tonight. Some of you may know me as an Olympic gold medalist in softball, others an analyst for ESPN broadcasting Major League Baseball games. The point is, I've spent most of my life either playing the game or calling it. But tonight, it's one of my favorite nights of the year. Sure, I wish we were in a packed house, I could see all of your smiling faces, but honestly, when you're celebrating the achievements of girls and women in sport, any night is a great night. And tonight, we'll take you high above the Rockies and the story of a girl finding her way in a new country, to Southern California, where a new mom just happens to be the most decorated US track and field athlete of all time, and to Miami, where a woman is leading the charge in a men's sports league. That's right, tonight is the biggest night in women's sports, and we are here to celebrate inspiring athletes and leaders, including our Sportswoman of the Year. Now, before we get to the good stuff, we gotta get to the great stuff, and that means thanking our presenting sponsors: Athleta, ESPNW, Gatorade, NBC Sports Group, and of course, Yahoo Sports. They are year-round supporters that make our work possible. For nearly 50 years, the Women's Sports Foundation has served as the voice and ally for girls and women in sports. Since the inception, the foundation has fought for gender equity at all levels, from grassroots to collegiate to professional. It began in 1974 with a $5,000 check and a dream that every girl and woman would unlock her potential in sports and in life. And get this, by 2022, the foundation will have invested over $100 million in that dream by funding research, advocacy, education, grant making, and leadership development for girls and women all over the country. For 50 years, this foundation has played a role in the fight for gender, racial, LGBTQ+ equality, and to ensure that accessibility is a human right. When something you see tonight moves you, When something you hear makes you wish that you could get involved, the good news is you can right now. This second, you can make a donation by simply texting WSF to 91999, or just go ahead and visit womensportsfoundation.org to learn more about the services that they offer and different ways that you can get involved. We'll start our show tonight by shining a spotlight on one of the hidden barriers faced by women athletes: motherhood. After I had my first son, I returned to play softball for 3 more years professionally. During that time, I was one of only 2 moms in the entire league. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was really hard. And now, a decade later, the struggle that mom athletes face just to show up at the game, much less play, can feel overwhelming. That's why the Women's Sports Foundation and its partner Athleta created the Child Care Grant earlier this year to help athletes compete without barriers. Let's take a look.
In the past, there's been so much fear surrounding motherhood and being an athlete. I hope that as we talk about it more, it becomes less about fear and then just being able to see that it's been done before.
I hope that there aren't as many barriers for women. I hope that women are able to have their own decision when they want to start families, and that they'll be supported no matter what.
U.S. scores, wins the gold.
Being a 2-time gold medalist is the craziest feeling. Going into this games really showed our ability to push through adversity. And I think it's really apparent as moms too, our ability to push through adversity.
I've always wanted to be a mother. That has been the thing that I've always wanted to do, but I've always wanted to be an Olympian too. Early in my career, I just didn't think it was possible to have both. During the bobsled season, which is 6 months out of the year, we are on the road. With me and my husband both competing, we do have to have extra child care services. My son Nico was born with Down syndrome, and he was also born with hearing loss. It does add a little bit of challenge for our day-to-day. I think we estimated it's going to cost somewhere around 50 grand this year, childcare alone. But our job as parents was just to raise the happiest, kindest kid we could.
Coming back from having my daughter Cameron, I saw just kind of the first-hand difficulties that you have when you are trying to compete at the elite level and also being a mom. It was amazing to be able to partner with Athleta and the Women's Sports Foundation to create the Power of She Fund and to be able to support mom athletes in different ways.
With the financial support of Women's Sports Foundation, it was so beautiful, especially going into the games, to not have to worry about what my son is doing and is he somewhere that I feel safe with him? Is he somewhere that he enjoys? Is such a huge relief, and because it is one of the things that literally hangs over our heads as moms is, do we need to be there? Do we need to be helping? It's really incredible that it's financial support, but it is also support in the community.
And especially trying to not only be a new mom, but come back as an athlete. There's so many unknowns. So I really relied on some of the other athlete moms that I know, like Allison Felix, to help me through this entire journey. I think one of the things that I reach out to is just breastfeeding. How do you breastfeed and train at the same time? And what do you wear for sports bras and things like that?
We really want to support women differently and holistically. And when you are supported, I think you can be a better mom, but also a better athlete.
The partnership between the Women's Sports Foundation and Athleta has helped me be able to afford expenses to keep Nico with me as long as possible, to have him training with me, have him traveling with me and with us as a family.
And I'm just very thankful for being able to be an advocate for it, of being a mom and being an athlete. And I really hope the next generation doesn't see it as such a fearful thing, but as a norm in the culture of sports.
We're seeing more and more female athletes play into their late 30s, into their 40s and things like that. And can you imagine if more women are able to do that? Could you imagine how much more exciting sports would be if women could extend their careers? If we could have 100 female Tom Bradys out there, it would be incredible.
Even with the support of companies like Athleta, making ends meet as an elite athlete can be challenging. So Kaleo and her husband opened up a bakery in Oklahoma City. The dream is that one day the funds will be there for Kaleo to train full-time. And thanks to the Women's Sports Foundation, we're getting closer. This summer, the WSF awarded 9 grants to mom athletes, 7 of whom competed in Tokyo. They used this funding to travel with their children and to offset the enormous cost of caregiving. There are many more deserving women who need our help. To lend your support, donate by texting WSF to 91999. Our first award of the evening is named for the founder of the Women's Sports Foundation and one of my favorite human beings. The Billie Jean King Leadership Award goes to an individual who has demonstrated outstanding leadership and broken barriers in the workplace. This year's recipient had already been respected for decades in Major League Baseball, but finally is now the highest ranking woman in the sport.
Walking down the tunnel into Yankee Stadium for the first time is magical. The lights, the crack of the bat, the green grass, the history. For 8-year-old Kim Ang, it ignited a passion that would lead her to grow up and shatter the glass ceiling in North American men's sports. Kim Ang is the oldest of 5 girls. She grew up playing stickball in Queens, New York. A huge Yankees fan, she grew up with the greats from the late 70s. A poster of the 1978 world champion Yankees hung above her bed. Ang's family had a major influence on her growing up. She observed her mother and her aunts and saw firsthand the struggles faced by women. Her grandmother ignited the fire to not settle for less than she deserved and instilled in her the confidence not to take no for an answer. Ang excelled at the University of Chicago, where she played softball. Her leadership was admired by her teammates, who elected her captain. Her interest in developing a career in sports, however, came during her senior year in college, when she wrote her Bachelor of Arts thesis on Title IX.
It really made me think, well, maybe I could, shoot for a career in sports. And that's when I just started sending resumes out to everybody.
In 1990, after graduating from college, she was hired by assistant GM of the Chicago White Sox, Dan Evans, as an intern.
From day one, it was evident that she had an incredible ceiling. She listened, learned, and asked questions.
Ang worked her way up through the organization and was promoted to Assistant Director of Baseball Operations with the White Sox in 1995. In 1997, she worked in the American League offices where, as the Director of Waivers and Records, she interacted with team executives, earning the attention of the New York Yankees and newly promoted General Manager Brian Cashman. Cashman offered Ang his former position as Assistant GM. At the age of just 29, Kim became the youngest and just the second woman to hold the position.
She has the answers. I'm not bragging on her. It's just the facts of life. She's highly qualified.
During her tenure, the Yankees reached the playoffs all 4 years and won the World Series 3 consecutive times. In 2002, her former White Sox mentor, Dan Evans, then Dodgers GM, lured Ang away from the Yankees to become his deputy as the Dodgers vice president and assistant GM.
You could tell she had lived baseball. She loves it.
When Joe Torre took the job as executive vice president of baseball operations at Major League Baseball, he persuaded Ang to come with him as senior vice president of baseball operations.
When I came over to MLB, there were some spots that needed to be filled, and Kim was the first person I thought of.
Although immensely qualified, Ang was passed over several times for general manager positions. Yet she didn't let that stop her.
You have to be as strong as you can and
absolutely,
and have tough skin and really just understand what your site is set on.
In 2020, Hall of Famer and co-owner Derek Jeter took that big step and hired her to be the general manager of the Miami Marlins.
Derek was Derek. He hired who he thought was the best person for the job, and there she was, landing in the general manager's chair.
Now girls think anything's possible in Major League Baseball.
The first female GM in the history of major American team sports.
Michelle Obama tweeted on Friday about my hiring, and I think that's when it really struck me of the history that had been made and just how awesome this was for sports, for baseball, for the country, for women at this time.
Kim Ang has carried the lessons of preparation, patience, and persistence from the playing field to the front office. She is the epitome of leadership and an incredible role model for girls and women. And that is why she is this year's recipient of the Billie Jean King Leadership Award.
Here to present the 2021 Billie Jean King Leadership Award to Kim Ang is National Baseball writer for Yahoo Sports, Hannah Kaiser.
Good evening, Kim. This is such a big night for girls and women in sports, and it is wonderful to be with you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm really excited about tonight.
I cannot think of anyone more deserving of this year's Billie Jean King Leadership Award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really excited.
So, first of all, tell me a little bit about growing up in Queens, playing stickball on the street. What was that like?
Oh, boy. Well, as a kid, I was basically always dirty. I was rolling around in the mud, playing with all the other kids in the neighborhood. A big tomboy. Played all different kinds of sports, but stickball was the one sport that was easy to play. You just go grab a broom handle and a ball and just get out there in the street.
You're now general manager of the Miami Marlins. So, okay, when you got that job, who was the first person you called?
So this was during COVID, and the first person I probably normally would have called was my mother, but I definitely want to see her reaction in person. So the first person that I called, my husband was outside the door listening, so I didn't need to tell him. But the first person that I called was Torre.
I know that you were a respected person in the industry before this job, but this hiring was really groundbreaking. You know, there's still such a wide gender gap in the leadership ranks around baseball. And I'm curious what your hope is for the future, and as well as what you think we need to do as an industry systemically to sort of get there, especially given the experience you have interviewing for these high-level roles over so many years.
So make no mistake about it. I know that there's a lot of pressure and a lot of eyes on me and how I'm going to do this job. So I think that's first and foremost. I think secondly, in terms of the system, I think Major League Baseball and I think the other 29 clubs have a very good understanding of what needs to happen. And I think a lot of them have gone out and created formal programs to introduce women into the industry, into their operations. So I think we're seeing a nice groundswell of just pure numbers of women at the entry levels. But I do think that there needs to be a lot of fostering of their careers and of their skills.
And what advice would you give to women or girls who do want to move up in a male-dominated industry? And I also want to ask you what advice you would give to men who want to foster that kind of equity and sort of inclusion in their workplace.
To the women, I would say there just has to be a lot of persistence in how we tackle this. And I think, one of the biggest things I think for us women is, give ourselves a break and understand that we will fail at times, but that only helps us and helps us learn. And then to the men, I would say it has to be top of mind. It has to be at the forefront of your mind. You have to think about your daughters and your nieces and your sisters. When you think about this issue and how would you want to help them? I think it's not just sort of giving a platform to women in meetings and conferences and those types of situations, but I think it's also asking questions of them, getting to know them.
I'm so glad that you were with us this evening. And again, congratulations on the Billie Jean King Leadership Award.
I just want to thank Billie Jean King and the Women's Sports Foundation for this wonderful honor. I am truly honored tonight to accept this award. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations, Kim. Your resilience and ridiculous knowledge of the game are an inspiration to so many girls and women like myself coming up right behind you. And as long as we're talking about inspirational people, our next speaker needs no introduction, but of course, I'm going to give her one anyway. She's one of the most influential people over the last 50 plus years, having spent her legendary career fighting for social change and creating inroads for all genders. In and out of sports, she's been a huge influence in my life for over 20 years. She's a big reason why everyone honored here tonight is where they are. She's the founder of the Women's Sports Foundation, Billie Jean King.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. This year's gala holds a special meaning because of all we've been through together, and because you continue to show up for the Women's Sports Foundation. It's hard to believe that I founded the Women's Sports Foundation almost 50 years ago. In 1974, I received a $5,000 check and used it to launch a grassroots organization to fight for gender equity in sport and to protect Title IX. Sports gave me many opportunities in life, and I wanted to make sure it could do the same for all girls and women. Along with me and several high-profile athletes, we grew and nurtured the Women's Sports Foundation and celebrated our wins, big and small. In many ways, our job in 2021 is the same as our job was in 1974. Protect Title IX and the right to play, and continue to celebrate the everyday joy of sport at every level. As we near the 50th anniversary of Title IX, the foundation has invested $100 million into programs and advocacy that fulfill our mission, helping every girl find her place in sport, no matter what she looks like or where she comes from. We need your continued support to fuel the vision of all girls, all women, all sports. Let's start tonight. A donation of any size, $5, $50, or $5,000 will help us reach millions of more girls and help us build for the next 50 years. You see that number at the bottom of the screen? You see that? Please help us close the equity gap and give every girl the gift of sport. Just text WSF to 91999. That's WSF to 91999. It's easy. Thank you again for joining us and for your unwavering support of the Women's Sports Foundation. I'm all in. Are you?
Thank you, Billie. We're going to take our first commercial break of the evening. Again, a special thanks to our presenting sponsors, Athleta, ESPNW, Gatorade, NBC Sports, and Yahoo Sports. Go grab a drink, because we'll be right back.
B, I want the real B.
I feel like I'm a starter. Everybody feel like I'm a starter.
If you don't know me, feel free to judge. People always ask, will Kevin Love go back to Portland?
If I was wearing a Portland jersey, I mean, that's special. That's playing at home.
Did you talk to LeBron?
We never really talked about those battles. We moved forward from that.
There's some lines that even ambassadors shouldn't cross.
And then there's the load management. How you feel about that, Dr. J?
Welcome back to the 2021 Women's Sports Foundation's Salute to Women in Sports, our annual fundraiser that raises essential dollars to support communities around the country. Please make a donation by texting WSF to 91999. Our next story is about a girl who left Mexico to join her family in the US. She didn't speak English and felt very much alone until she discovered a community in the last place she expected to find it, on a peak a mile above sea level. This story is about the power of sports.
Mountain biking feels freeing. When I'm on the trail, I'm just able to let myself go. I started the Cycle Effect in August last year. Before Cycle Effect, I never really did any mountain biking or any biking at all. I was never really a sporty person. I joined the Cycle Effect because of Ms. Isabel, who told me about the program and about what they did.
The Cycle Effect is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower young women through mountain biking.
I met Coach Isabel when I was 7 years old. She was my second grade teacher.
She had come to visit her dad, who was living here in the States, and her mom was down in Mexico. She decided she didn't just want to visit, she wanted to stay here.
Coach Isabel and I bonded over our experiences coming to a new country. She helped me understand the new language in this country.
And when I started with the Cycle Effect, started in December of 2019. And then in 2020, everything shut down with the pandemic. I knew needed a program like this in her life.
With COVID, I had more anxiety at school and out of school. But then when I went with the cycle effect and I talked with the other girls, and I learned that they were also struggling with maybe anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues that I could resonate with, that helped me a lot to understand that it was okay what was going on. My first day at the cycle effect, I did not have any training at all. Thankfully, I did not fall, which I did later on, but I really had a lot of fun that day, and I just remember thinking, that's it, I'm staying here.
Mountain biking can be very intimidating. It's also not a very accessible sport because the equipment is very expensive. The training can be very expensive. The Women's Sports Foundation has given us the resources to be able to offer all of that. We offer the bike, the helmet, the uniform, the training, amazing coaches who are also at the same time amazing mentors.
Having the community of girls, older and younger around me, I really like having that because we respect each other.
I've seen Roxy grow so much since this past year that she's been in the cycle. But Roxy is a great leader. She really encourages people, that really lifts up their mood so they can continue and just have a smile on their face.
I've learned how to be myself around other people, which is definitely something I did not know how to do before.
For Roxy to step into a space like this, I knew that I could provide her with all the tools to go as far as she wanted on the mountain bike. Whatever she wanted to learn, however much she wanted to challenge herself.
When I'm on the trail, all I could think about is, you've gone through a lot before, you can do better than this. So just keep going and go through it because you can do it.
This story hits close to home for me, and I am now a huge fan of Roxy. The Cycle Effect is one of hundreds of local organizations funded by WSF, and Roxy represents one of thousands of girls we reach every year. She's a freshman in high school now and just had a quinceañera to celebrate her 15th birthday. And yep, Coach Isabel helped her pick out the dress. Seeing the smile on Roxy's face says it all. Roxy is just beginning to climb her mountain, but our next honoree has already ascended it and lifted countless female athletes along with him. For almost 2 decades, he's shown an unwavering commitment to gender equity and the advancement of girls and women in sports. For those endeavors and more, he's the recipient of this year's Champion for Equality Award.
If you persevere long enough, if you do the right things long enough, the right things will happen. Menon Rhéaume. Larry Scott has tried to do the right thing his entire life, sometimes on the world's biggest stages, and many times with no one watching. Throughout his career as a student athlete, professional tennis player, and sports executive, Scott has been a trailblazer, a bold, innovative leader with a vision for transformative change. Growing up in New York City, Scott was strongly influenced by his mother and sister. He played tennis at Harvard, where he became captain and was named an All-American. After college, Scott pursued his passion for tennis, joining the professional tennis circuit. Scott has always believed that sport has the power to be a force for positive change. Following his retirement from professional tennis, he sought opportunities that would enable him to make a difference. As chairman and CEO of the Women's Tennis Association, he revitalized the organization.
Larry stepped up on the point that was bothering us for years and years, is we did not have equal prize money in all 4 majors in tennis.
Before his tenure at the WTA, 2 of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments, Wimbledon and the French Open, awarded less prize money to women than to men. Working in tandem with Billie Jean King, Venus Williams, and many other WTA players, Scott successfully lobbied to change this, helping ensure financial equity at all Grand Slam events. In 2009, the Israeli tennis player Shahar Pierre was denied entry by the United Arab Emirates, preventing her from competing in the Dubai Tennis Championships. Scott took a stand, resulting in a record $300,000 fine against the tournament. Pierre and her fellow Israeli players were guaranteed the right to compete the following year. Later that year, Scott left the WTA to become commissioner of the Pac-10 Conference, which he soon helped expand to 12 schools and rebranded as the Pac-12, the Conference of Champions. With his unwavering commitment to equality, he launched the Pac-12 network with a fundamental goal of elevating women's sports and committing equal hours of coverage for men's and women's sports. Scott's vision to expand the conference's women's sports teams to include lacrosse and beach volleyball, combined with his efforts to ensure equal promotion and visibility of women's sports championships, resulted in expanded opportunities for the women in collegiate level competition. When Stanford women's basketball coach Tara VanDerveer reached her 1,000-win milestone in 2017, Scott saw an opportunity to honor her while helping close the gender gap in collegiate coaching.
Larry came to me. He said, well, why don't we do something like a fund to promote women in coaching?
He partnered with the Women's Sports Foundation to establish the Tara VanDerveer Fund for the advancement of women in coaching.
He believes in women's sports. He believes in the equality of resources and opportunities for women in sports.
The Women's Sports Foundation salutes Larry Scott for his unwavering advocacy for equality and his commitment to doing the right thing to help all girls and women achieve their potential in sports and life.
Here to present the Champion for Equality Award to Larry Scott is World Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist, and my friend, Julie Foudy.
Hi, Lair. So great to be with you tonight on one of my favorite nights with the Women's Sports Foundation.
Great to see you, Julie.
Hey, you've been an advocate for girls and women in sports throughout your entire career. So a huge congratulations to you on our Champion for Equality Award. It's great to see. Let's start right there, actually. Who were the strong female influences in your life, and what was the inspiration behind you being such an advocate for girls and women in sports?
My whole life, I've just been surrounded by strong, impressive women, starting with my mom, who was always behind supporting me academically, athletically. She worked herself and, was always an equal.
When Stanford women's basketball coach Tara VanDerveer reached her 1,000th win and that milestone, you actually partnered with the Women's Sports Foundation to establish a fund for the advancement of women in coaching in her name. Why was that fund important to you?
Having been a trustee of the Women's Sports Foundation for many years and seeing the incredible work that they've done, one of the pieces of research they did just blew me away, and it showed the very alarming trend in women's sports where, as women's sports gets bigger, there's a perverse relationship between as it gets bigger and there's more money for coaches, more men get the best positions. Then when Tara, who is a force of nature herself and such an inspiration, became the winningest female coach, I said, we should establish a fund in Tara's name, supporting her legacy that actually raises money and creates opportunity and support for young women that want to get into coaching. We try to redress this imbalance that's happening.
And congratulations, by the way. I know your daughter, Alana, is heading to UC Davis, a freshman, to play lacrosse. You also have a son who's a sophomore at Indiana playing basketball. So what are your hopes for the next generation of collegiate student athletes?
Well, I'm just so excited to have a daughter that's like super impressive academically, athletically, to have a chance to experience, what I experienced, which is to be a student athlete and the amazing life lessons. My hope is that women's sports continues to be valued at the intercollegiate level, and that with the increasing arms race that's happening in college sports and athletes being able to be paid now, and schools ultimately able to funnel more money to athletes, and the pressure to win in football and basketball, that doesn't diminish the amazing opportunities women have had, and doesn't reduce opportunities for Olympic sports.
What do you think the next milestone in gender equality is for women's professional sports?
When I look at fan attendance, sponsorship, TV hours, I want to see a really big commitment that someone steps up. And I think it's going to take, a pioneering, bold TV network or sponsor to make a big bet. And it feels like the time's coming to me when I see the excitement and interest around the Olympics, World Cup. I see it at the collegiate level. The NCAA women's basketball championship this year, Stanford and Arizona, allow me a little brag moment there. 2 Pac-12 teams. I mean, the buzz, the interest. I look at the women's U.S. Open final this year, and for the first time I can remember, the women's final outrated the men's final. And that was with the world number one, Novak Djokovic, in that final. So I see signs, but decision makers are men at the networks, at the big sponsor companies, and someone's going to step up and make a big commitment, bet on the future, bet on the way things should be. And I think that is going to create a snowball effect.
Bet on women. That's the saying of the hour. Bet on women.
Let's go.
You never go wrong there. Larry, congratulations again. Thank you for all you've done to advocate for girls and women in sports and make that landscape so much better for so many of us. I know I speak for a lot of us when we thank you for all the tremendous work you've done in your entire career. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Julie. And thanks to everyone at the Women's Sports Foundation and Billie Jean King for this really, really humbling honor.
Congratulations to Larry Scott. And thank you, Jules. Always have to get as much Stanford love at this event as possible. Jules and I also have something else in common. We were both fortunate enough to serve as presidents of the Women's Sports Foundation. We can confirm firsthand that every day of the year, the WSF is out there making a difference by providing financial fuel to aspiring champion athletes, by funding groundbreaking research, by educating, and by advocating. Hear now the very exciting announcement about how the WSF plans to move forward with these goals into the future is Foundation President Phaidra Knight and former captain of the U.S. National Women's Hockey Team, Meghan Duggan.
Thanks, Jess, and good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to serve as the president of the Women's Sports Foundation, and it is also my honor to announce our president-elect, Olympic gold medalist, world champion, and my fellow Wisconsin Badger, Meghan Duggan.
Thanks, Phaidra, and welcome everyone watching from near and far. Phaidra, you amaze me and so many others, and we all owe you a huge debt of gratitude for leading this organization while juggling so many exciting endeavors as a business owner, broadcaster, and full-time athlete.
Well, thank you so much, Meghan. But I'm honestly very proud of what the foundation has accomplished in spite of the tough times we're living in. We haven't missed a beat and have kept the joy of sports alive by meeting girls in their living rooms, on Instagram, and through exciting virtual events. That was really important to me, to not lose ground in our efforts to achieve gender equity in sport. And now, my friend, it's your turn.
It sure is, and I'm excited to be the next president for an organization that I deeply respect and admire. The foundation's mission just runs deep in me. I can't wait to use my voice, energy, and passion to lead us into 2022, when we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Can you believe that? 50 years.
That's incredible. But speaking of celebrations, you're having quite an exciting year yourself. You're a proud mom, and you recently joined the New Jersey Devils as a manager of player development. Meghan, that's huge. Congratulations.
Thanks, Phaidra. I guess I would say the pressure is truly a privilege. But I'm not the only one taking on new challenges. I think I've heard that you've taken off your rugby jersey to put on MMA gloves. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right, and I'm crazy. But I'm very excited for a couple of reasons. You see, my whole career in sports has been based on building awareness and movement around social causes that are near and dear to me. Now I can bring that platform to a whole new audience and hopefully make real change. And learning a new sport at the age of 47 shows that it's never too late to get in the game. So let that be a lesson to all of you girls and ladies out there watching tonight.
Well, these are exciting times for both of us and for this organization that we both love so much that we're celebrating tonight, the Women's Sports Foundation. In a way, we are living the dream that is made possible by the foundation's grant-making, mentorship, and advocacy. Ongoing support from donors like yourself allows an entire generation of athletes to play, compete, and to lead.
Now, we've given our time, our energy, and support to this worthy cause, and now we're passing the ball to all of you out there watching. A donation of any size, $5, $50, or $5,000 will help us reach millions of girls and help us build for the next 50 years. Check out the number at the bottom of the screen, and please help us give every girl the gift of sport. Just text WSF to 91999. Thank you. And thank you to every donor, supporter, and fan who's gotten us through these very challenging times. We will always remember your generosity and commitment.
So well said, Phaidra. Thank you all for helping us get more girls in the game and in the front office and in the boardroom. Enjoy the rest of the show and keep playing.
Thanks to Phaidra and to Meghan. Congrats and welcome to the club. If you're not familiar with the story of Wilma Rudolph, please look her up. Not only was she the fastest woman on the planet, but she got there after overcoming debilitating setbacks like poverty and polio. That's why the foundation presents the Wilma Rudolph Courage Award to the athlete who best reflects the same determination and spirit as its namesake. Last year, it was given to the women of the WNBA, many of whom bravely stepped away from the league to focus on social justice. This year's honoree ignited global conversations about racial justice and mental health. Learn about her story in this piece, narrated by women's sports broadcaster LaChina Robinson.
Tennis pro, trendsetter, activist, mental health advocate, and history maker are just a few monikers that describe Naomi Osaka. Since breaking into the professional tennis circuit with her powerful serve and strong forehand in 2013, Osaka has become a 4-time Grand Slam champion, winning both the U.S. Open and the Australian Open twice. Osaka is the first Asian player to hold the WTA World #1 ranking in singles, and the first Japanese player to win a Grand Slam. Representing her native country of Japan, Osaka was bestowed the prestigious honor of lighting the cauldron at the opening ceremony of the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. Osaka has used her platform to advocate for racial justice and equality, and to illuminate issues related to mental health. At the 2020 Western and Southern Open, Osaka withdrew from play to help raise awareness for the recent tragic deaths of Jacob Blake, Tamir Rice, and many other Black men and women. Her powerful message on social media resulted in the tournament pausing play for 24 hours. 3 days later, Osaka walked into Arthur Ashe Stadium wearing a Black face covering. It bore the name Breonna Taylor, a Black woman who was fatally shot by police. Over the course of the U.S. Open, Osaka wore a different mask for each of her 7 victories, each mask commemorating a Black person who was a victim of violence. Osaka emerged as the champion of the U.S. Open, lifting the trophy to honor Black lives and making a bold statement against racism and inequality. Earlier this year, Osaka took a stand to protect her mental well-being and brought worldwide attention to the topic of mental health. Her bold action ignited a conversation about the challenges elite athletes face as they rise and falter.
She's been a real champion of mental health, and because of what she said, it just opened up. Everyone started talking about it. Naomi is very, very sensitive and very in tune with what's going on.
For having the courage to put her mental well-being first, Osaka received accolades from healthcare professionals, appreciation from fellow athletes across sports, and support from fans around the globe who have often suffered in silence. Through all of her successes and fame, Naomi has not forgotten her roots. Renovating the courts where she first played tennis was one way she gave back to the community of Queens, New York. When Haiti was devastated by an earthquake in August, Osaka immediately took to social media and led the charge for relief efforts. The Women's Sports Foundation salutes Naomi Osaka for her compassion, conviction, and leadership. Her courage and character go way beyond her 23 years.
Here to accept the Wilma Rudolph Courage Award is four-time Grand Slam champion, Naomi Osaka.
When I heard from Billie Jean King, my first reaction was, of course, I'm very honored to accept this award and, to even, I guess, be on people's minds. I got the courage to speak out. Growing up and seeing all of the people around me doing amazing things and not having any fear and standing up for what they believe in. What I would like to say to all the young girls watching tonight, just try your best every day. You never know where that's going to take you. I would consider it just a game, and maybe you'll be sitting where I'm sitting right now in a couple of years, and I can't wait to see that.
Congratulations, Naomi, and thank you. It took so much courage and bravery for what you've done. You set a new precedent for so many of us to follow. We're going to take our last break of the evening. Still to come, we'll be unveiling the team and individual Sportswoman of the Year honorees. So stick around.
You want your sports news in more than just a few characters? With the help of a bunch of different characters?
You play better than me, I respect this out of you.
He beat us, yes. I'm not a ball player. Prince had hops.
Hosted by everyone's favorite character.
Only time will tell if that's a lie or a big-ass lie.
You're Calais Campbell's brother, so Calais got the most sex that he has is on me.
Give us 2 minutes and we'll give you The Rush. Weekday mornings on Yahoo Sports.
Welcome back to the 2021 Women's Sports Foundation's annual salute to women in sports. The Women's Sports Foundation is a 4-star rated charity, which means that when you donate, your support goes into programming that directly impacts the lives of girls and women in your community. Take a moment to join our team. Text WSF to 91999 to make a donation, or visit womensportsfoundation.org. When Clarissa Shields defeated Christina Hammer, 2 things happened. Clarissa became the undisputed women's middleweight world champion, and later, the WSF named her the individual Sportswoman of the Year. Like Clarissa, this year's honoree has spent her whole career making the exceptional seam routine. And this summer, her record-breaking performance earned her a spot in history.
Yeah. Becoming a mother, it has definitely been the most rewarding time of my career. I hope to show that you can have a family, you can have a career, and not to let anyone tell you that you can't.
For Allison Felix, this will be her first Olympic campaign as a mother. Here comes Allison Felix!
A true champion! Allison Felix is on her 5th Olympic team!
Cammie, Mummy did it!
Guys, we're going to Tokyo! I still feel like there's things I want to accomplish.
The moment has arrived that so many people have been looking forward to. Allison Felix, in her 5th and final Olympic Games, is ready to run.
Allison Felix, known for her 200-meter speed, she's off to a great start.
She's fighting hard to get a medal. She's got a shot at it. Felix gets bronze. You're watching Felix's final Olympic run in what has been a stunning career. That's gold for the American quartet. 11 Olympic medals. She is the most decorated American track and field athlete ever.
This one just has meant so much beyond just running. It's just so different, you know, my motivation as a mother. I feel like I found myself and I've grown into my own. It's been such a special ride, and I'm just really grateful.
On behalf of the Women's Sports Foundation, it's my honor to present the 2021 Individual Sportswoman of the Year Award to Allison Felix.
Well, it's such an honor to be the Women's Sports Foundation Sportswoman of the Year in an individual event. Thinking back of all my experiences and all the years and the different medals, this is really a highlight for me. To me, it recognizes change and the impact that, the small impact that I've been able to have advocating for women. And that's what's closest to my heart. And so I feel so blessed to do what I love, but being recognized for some of the work that I've done advocating for women is really special. It's amazing to be the most decorated, American track and field athlete, and in Tokyo to be able to pass Carl Lewis. It's an interesting thing because it was never a goal that I set out to accomplish. You know, it was kind of something that I'm able to get to this point in my career and kind of look back to see. But it's just incredible to be in that company. And I think it just shows female athletes that we have no limit. Crossing the finish line as a mom definitely felt different. I had a whole different motivation, thinking about my daughter and the world that she's going to grow up in, and, getting through the grueling training, I constantly thought back to her, and, she inspired me. And so this first time, getting through as a mom was definitely a whole new experience. I would tell other young women in sports, to keep going, that sports has the power to transform your life. I am living proof of that. Sports has given me so many opportunities, has given me a foundation for life. And I've learned so many lessons that I can apply to different areas. So I would say to just keep at it, keep playing, and doing your best. The work that the Women's Sports Foundation does on behalf of young girls is incredibly important. There are so many young athletes who benefit from it, and it's literally changing the world. It's making it an easier place to exist and giving girls confidence to be able to continue and to have lives that have meaning, and for them to be able to thrive. I'm so grateful for the support of the Women's Sports Foundation, not only just for myself, but for all women and girls in sports.
Now the final award of the evening, Team Sportswoman of the Year. The previous recipient, Megan Rapinoe, led her team to World Cup victory. This year's honoree helped boldly lead her team to its first ever Olympic gold in their sport.
I recently actually found a letter that I wrote to myself. It does say the certain goals that I wanted to do and where I wanted to be.
One of the best players in the history of USA Volleyball, Jordan Larson.
It's crazy to actually see the story unfold. It's shocking to me some days.
I mean, the privilege of watching her play this long, to see just how good she is at every skill, it's just been amazing.
There was no doubt who dominated. 4-time captain, 3 times leading the team in gold, the champion in 2021, outside hitter, Jordan Larson.
Jordan is basically just a badass. A laser-like mentality and discipline. Everything that you think of as being a true professional, that's Jordan.
Mentally staying in it, and how do you continually be good over time? But if you learn how to do that and kind of ride the waves of challenges throughout it all, it's worth it in the end.
This is exactly what you want in an Olympic gold medal match.
Jordan Larson off the edge of the block and through the defense.
If we can lay our head down and be like, I literally did everything that I could for this team, and I gave everything that I have, then it's a good day.
Gold medal point for the United States. To Larson for the win. For the first time, the American women have won the Olympic gold medal.
What does it feel like to have that gold medal hanging around your neck right now? Yeah!
I never would have fathomed just being in this spot. I'm just really grateful for the time.
I was in Tokyo cheering them on with Sue Enquist and Julie Foudy, and on behalf of the Women's Sports Foundation, it's my honor to present the 2021 Team Sportswoman of the Year Award to Jordan Larson.
This award by the Women's Sports Foundation is really something that I'm just so grateful for and so blessed to have had the path that I've had that has led me here today. And it's something that I just will never take for granted, and feeling very lucky and blessed to be accepting the award. And it definitely is one of the top accolades that I've achieved. I grew up a small town girl, you know, just had big dreams on being on the big stage, and never in a million years did I think that I would be standing here today amongst how many greats that have come before us, before me, and who have accepted this award. I could never have fathomed. I just had some big dreams, but never thought it would take me to this point. I'm just really proud to represent Team USA and USA Volleyball at the highest level. I think about all the people that came before us, and all the great teams that and players that have really paved the path for us. I'm just really grateful. And I don't know, this team was something special. We did stuff differently. We created a culture that worked well together, and just really so proud of our team because we put in a lot of work, and to walk away with something so significant really means a lot. I dedicate a lot what I do to my mom, Kay, who we lost almost 12 years ago. And I think it's crazy to me that she really doesn't know this life, this professional life that I've been able to do for so many years. And every time I go out to play, I always think she has the best seat in the house. I'm just sad that she can't see what has transpired in the last years, and I know she would be super proud. I think it's really important for the Women's Sports Foundation to keep pushing women and elevating women to play sports, because it's so fun to be a part of, and I think it allows women to understand who they are as people and really come into really what they're passionate about, dream big, and hope for the best. I'm thrilled to be the Women's Sports Foundation Sportswoman of the Year for a team sport.
Congratulations to Jordan, captain of the U.S. Women's Volleyball team, Allison Felix, and all the 2021 honorees here tonight. Before we go, one last reminder, please text WSF to 91999 or visit womensportsfoundation.org to keep that dream that started back with a $5,000 check in 1974 alive. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of Title IX. The line from Billie Jean King to today's champions wasn't just drawn, it was forged by hard-fought victories made possible by this landmark legislation. How do we blaze a path toward the next 50 years? We keep listening, keep speaking, keep leading, and of course, keep playing. I'm Jessica Mendoza. Thank you for joining us.
What's next?
Who's next?
I'm next.
I'm next.
I'm next.
I'm next.
She's next.
You're next.
You're next.
We're next.
We're all next. Everyone deserves the best that life has to offer.
We got our foot in the door in the first 50 years of Title IX, and now it's time to even the playing field.
Keep believing.
Keep hoping.
Keep climbing.
I would like to see equality in sports. Everyone gets a chance to play.
We still have a lot of work to do.
Keep advocating.
Keep listening.
Keep talking.
Keep honest.
The most important thing is if you can see it, you can be it.
We are not just happy to be here, we want equality.
Billie Jean King is a huge inspiration.
Started out with that $1 contract, and look at where we are today.
It just shows female athletes we have no limits.
What does the next 50 years look like for women in sports? Gorgeous.
She's got a fight on her hands. A new Olympic record.
The dream has been realized.
In the next 50 years, I hope people realize that women lead for everyone, not just for women.